All right. Statman here, and we are looking at Desmos, which is new to my class in 2025-26. So I think this is the way to go for inference, and let me show you. Um, we're going to look at a couple of prompts, and I'll explain them to you from another worksheet, another video that I have. So it'll relate to that. So this is going to be great. So obviously you click on graphing first. Then if you're in inference, you're going to type the word inference in there. And right when you hit the E in inference, this is going to show up. Okay. So it says inference for quantitative data. This is quantities, meaning a mean, an average. And there's two kinds of quantitative data. There's a Z and a T. The Z is used when you know the standard deviation of the population, which is kind of rare. So almost every time we're going to use a T. Then you have categorical data. There's three different types. We're going to do all of these. Right now, we're going to do a Z test for proportions and a T test. Okay. So let me give you the prompts. The first prompt is the Snicker bar question. There's another video on that somewhere out there. And the 1 ounce Snicker bar weighs less than advertised, we suspect. I sampled 30 of them, and the average weight was 0.995. Okay. So what you got to do on this is first thing you have to do is you have to be able to write out the interval. So the average weight is 0.995. So I'm going to write 0.995 plus or minus. Then there's 30 samples. So I looked on the chart, which I won't show you here, but degrees of freedom 29. I'll write it up here. DF 29. If you look on that, it's 2.2. That's a 2.045. Okay, 2.045 times the standard deviation. Those 30 that average 0.995, their standard deviation was 0.005. And then it's square root of 30 here. So you're going to write that out by hand on your FRQ. Okay. Then you're going to go to t-test and you're going to type that in. Click stats. The sample size was 30. The mean was 0.995 and the standard deviation was 0.005. Create the test. Now it's going to show you two different things, a confidence interval and a significance test. You're going to learn this better when we get to significance test in chapter 9. For chapter 8, we're doing confidence intervals. Boom, click confidence interval. The default setting, if you can see it here, is 0.95. If you want another setting, just type in what you want, 0.99, whatever it is, 0.90. But there it is. So if you look at this, whoops, there we go. It's you have it's between 0.993 and 0.9969 is where we believe the actual average weight of all those little Snicker bars is. It's actually not 1 ounce. We don't think it is anyways. So that is how you would use Desmos for a mean. Okay, that's a mean. It's called on Desmos quantitative data. Okay, pretty simple. So let me clear all this and let me do the other one. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this, click on that, and I'll type in inference again. And once the E hits an inference, now I'm going to do a proportion. The second question that I'm going to go over is Donald Trump's approval rating. So Donald Trump's approval rating is 0.45, 43 in a study that I saw online, and it was out of 1,000 people. So that must have meant, obviously, that 430 people said, I approve of his job performance, and then 570 said they didn't. Okay, no problem. Okay, so you have to set this up by yourself on the FRQ. So it's going to be 0.43 plus or minus. Now, if I do 95%, I'm going to use the infinity number at the bottom of the page. That's the infinity number, 1.96, which you probably have memorized by now. 1.96 times the square root. Now this number goes in here, 0.43.57 over, um, let's see here, over 1,000. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, no problem. So you got to set that up by hand. Then you're going to do z-test for proportions. Successes, meaning how many people approved of Mr. Trump, 430. What's the sample size? 1,000. Create the test. It's going to ask you again, do you want the interval or do you want the significance test? We haven't, but what's going to be cool later is you can see them together once you learn them both. Right now it's the interval. And again, the default is 95, so it's already there. So this is the answer to this. So according to that particular study, Mr. Trump's approval rating is between about 40% and 46%, somewhere in there, with 43 being the exact middle, 0.43. It's about a margin of error of about 3%. So that is how you use Desmos. And what's beautiful about Desmos, and let me go back to the beginning here, is eventually what's going to happen is when you get an inference question on the AP test or my final or whatever, you're going to have this is the whole menu. So you have to figure out, all right, do I have a mean or a proportion, or is it a chi-square situation like a table? And we're going to go through all of that. So this just going to here will give you all your options, and I think you'll be able to do really well with it. All right, stat man out.